that I believe that the agreement was this planet here was going to the Tau. Just throwing it out there. Maybe there's some miscommunication in that regard, but I'm sure we will have that settled very shortly in a completely, democratic and bloodless manner, I am certain. Anyways, this battle, I believe I'm repeating several other people when I say, did not go quite as I planned. I always like to go in predicaments like this, being perhaps the most prepared, or perhaps the one with I like to go in with a unique strategy or an idea that I can hold on to. But with this battle, that just kind of went to shit. There was really nothing that, no real flow to this battle. Particular things just went where they were needed. And in the end, we somehow, God help us, managed to hack together a victory. Rather ungraceful manner, but it happened. This battle, I was mostly the same as the last one as far as my units. I had a few new things, including a special Pathfinder teams, which gave me the ability to call down precision strikes at almost any and all times, which was very, very nice to have, especially against all the super heavies, which were prevalent across the board. Beyond that, my VIPs of this battle, again, my area denial nodes, performed quite well. My one squad of fire warriors was sadly nearly wiped out, except for 2 men, Carl and Watson. In the very first, before it even began, including the loss of my associated on. But I realized this was not necessarily a bad thing, because it gave me one thing that I enjoyed very much, and that was preferred enemy. Because I had a second on the table, which made up for the loss of one, and preferred enemy made Tau battle suits actually decent in close combat, and that was more than enough to hold the aforementioned Bunker Hill in the back corner of the table. Nonetheless, that was eventually lost, or not lost, just contested to us. But I think my forces did a relatively good job, including my commander, for whom I was using the rules for Commander Ramir's battlesuit. He successfully managed to hold off an assault by Dark Eldar, which I was not expecting. And remember earlier I was mentioning that thing about being the one who's most prepared and had the biggest plan. When Dark Eldar, who we did not even know existed, appear on the objective that you were holding, that is not what I would consider, good planning, because really there's no way you can plan for that. And God help us, somehow we managed to survive. And I could be gracious and compliment the timely arrival of several Gaunts and Gene Stealers to assist us in that scenario. But why would I do that unless they were following through on their agreement to give us the planet? We will get back to you on that shortly, I'm sure. So altogether, a pretty good battle. I'm happy with it, but I think that next time definitely I want more. I want to have a much more solid strategy than last time. Hopefully, this time I've seen the brunt of what is new to be offered to our to the enemy forces and our allies' forces, and I'll be ready next time. God willing, I'll be ready.
Okay, so that didn't go entirely as I planned at all. I think that could be said for much of the battle itself. I didn't really have a whole lot of models that really stood out, aside from my Pylon, which did a fair amount of damage, and a Necron Wraith, which we've nicknamed Flippy, because it performed 2 backflips somehow. Most of my models performed relatively adequately. There weren't any severe failures. Some were not nearly as effective as I expected, but that was more as a result of circumstance. In a lot of cases, such as the Gene Stealer Infestation and Subterranean Swarm, when they appeared, there just wasn't anything for them to actually attack at that point. But units such as the Hierophant proved to be quite useful. My Hive Tyrant, my Winged Hive Tyrant, took out a fair number of units and took a significant amount of damage before finally falling. Then my Food Lord Janice, which is a converted chaplain, infested chaplain, was running around a bit. It was essential with leading the infestation and finally taking out some of the Renegade chaos. So overall, it was a good battle. It was nice to finally bring the planet of Storax under Tyranid control.
That was easy.
Well, in reality, I don't actually think it was. Actually, I feel that the main plan that I had went out fairly well, with the Mirage of Tzeentch using that to take over the Revenant Titan for a turn and see what we were able to take out with that. That actually went off fairly well. However, I was not confident that we would be able to pull off a victory for the entire time, especially after the first turn where I bore the brunt of the firing from both the Eldar and the Imperial lines. But thankfully, things turned around. Things turned around indeed. I was mostly responsible for holding the far side of the board. Wasn't really involved in the fighting over there with the Tau and the Tyranids, but. So special mention, if I was talking about MVPs of the battle, special mention does have to go to a Demon Prince who was able to successfully fly up and take a structure point off of the Revenant Titan and engage in close combat in the air, which is a pretty epic image. But hands down, most valuable person of the battle was this. Shamefully not painted, I know, but we'll rectify that soon enough. Was this the Doomsday device? Which, as we noted before, after not activating on the first turn and only doing a little bit of damage on the second turn, let off massive destruction across the entire board. 5 Strength 10 AB1 templates everywhere. It took out the majority of the Imperial tanks, majority of the Space Marines. It was a thing of beauty, but also terror. So hands down. Now in the initial plays, I had not actually made very many plans for this thing, simply because it is such a wild card that I did not want to place a strategy around it. So I was just going to, let it do what it does and see what happens. And I think it turns out fairly well. So the lesson here, randomness is always your friend. It never fails. It does fail, but you never know. Anyway, that's me. So.